interesting because, as I said, there is, Chaidex. When I say Chaidex, it's just not an exchange. It's also a restaking platform, staking platform. It's also, a platform that is enabling multiple local stable currencies. So when I say all these things, and also we have a quick swap, we have a P2P exchange. So when I say all these things, then there has to be an ecosystem that binds all down to and give it back to the people. For example, let's say you are a person who's looking forward to interact with certain token on certain let's say certain protocol. Okay, so in order for you to have a voice in our ecosystem, so that you can do as you wish, you need to have token. You need to participate and make your voice heard to the rest of the people, so that they can come together and they can raise their voice, or start simply accepting those different sets of tokens from different sets of protocols. Because at any given point of time, me as a human being or my company as an institution do not really want to stifle or keep understanding what the market demands are. Let the market decide what its demands are. So that particular token can work as a very good DAO, can work in a very good way, where you can vote for a particular token to be in or to be out, something like that. So it's ultimately going to be people's choice to interact with certain protocols or to interact with certain tokens, and in order to do that, we need this token out there in the market. So that is one of the reasons why we have come up with the token. So that is the biggest utility, in order to govern, in order to see if what the market demands are, what people want to understand. So that is the biggest utility of the token. Now there could be multiple utilities which we haven't really focused on. We want people to come up with the utilities for now, but that is the biggest utility that we thought, because there is multiple offerings from the Chaidex ecosystem as well. So there has to be one token, one common you know what can I say, one common specific point to talk about it. So that point is the Chai token. So that is what we thought. And the tokenomics is definitely not that difficult, or not that out of the world. But it is the tokenomics that every person will understand. Every person in Web3 especially understands, and can easily participate, or purchase, or hold, or do whatever they want.
All right. It's basically a governance token. Is it, what is the timeline for it getting listed, or is it listed already?
It is going to be listed by the end of this month or the first week. So right now we are in IDO phases. So
Hmm.
currently we had a very good IDO, 100% IDO, a, a week back or something. And now we are looking to do IDO of around 800,000 to $1 million worth of IDO in this whole month, which is being lined up. And by after the end of all those things, we are going to launch it on KuCoin and Mexi. We have, currently we have deal with both of them. But there are a couple of other exchanges also which are interested. We are going to talk with them as well. But for now, I think KuCoin and Mixi are definitely confirmed, and we're taking it forward with them by the end of this month, or by the first week of August, whatever timing they give us. So the date has to be confirmed yet. For that, you'll have to keep in touch with Chidex, maybe on Twitter, so that
Right.
you'll
That
understand that. Yeah.
you're updated on the, when
Yes,
the
yes.
exact
We keep
timeline.
announcing, and we keep we keep announcing, and we keep updating our users who ever want to purchase us.
Excellent. So, can you tell us a little about the automatic restaking feature and what is the kind of advantage that it provides the users?
So the very I would say the inspiration, did I draw the inspiration? So right now what happens is, there are multiple pools on our exchange. So I'm going a bit deep, but not that deep. I want everybody to understand, like people who are new to Web3 and also not new to Web3. So the very first thing is, we have multiple pools. We have treasury pools, we have liquidity pools, and things like that. So while we were, while our beta phase was working, while our beta phase was on for those 2 months, I saw one thing, and I saw that our treasury pool was essentially lying there just like that. People were interacting with it, people were staking in a liquidity pool and everything. But at one point, we thought that treasury pool can be used, and there are multiple treasury pools on multiple protocols that hold so many other tokens. But we hold mostly native tokens and stable coins for now in our treasury pool. So we wanted to use that pool in order to give benefit to the people. So for example, let's say you have come with Bitcoin and you have exchanged Bitcoin with us, and we have that Bitcoin with me. Okay, I have that Bitcoin and I've given you some other token. And now at the end of the, let's say, a month or so, you again want that Bitcoin back. So for that month, at least what I can do is I can make Bitcoin to a good use that may earn some APY, okay, and then give the benefit back to you rather than just making it sit idle over there, which will be definitely on chain, which even you as a user can, see whether where your Bitcoin is, how is it working, how much yield it is generating, and stuff like that. So that is what we thought that automated restaking is something that we should be concerned about. But there's one more thing that we are going to make sure that it is as safe as possible. Now, when I say safe, which means I'm taking things on chain. I'm taking making sure that those things have a proper record on proper blockchains so that it can be seen, it can be interacted with the users whose asset is it in the first place. So that is one thing that we are doing. Let's say you come with BTC, your BTC can be used for greater work, and that BTC can be divided again. The APY can be divided in such a way, one section of your BTC can be used by our platform itself to generate some earnings on daily basis. One can be used for a long term staking in some protocol that gives BTC in return, or some can be used in some other exchanges as a liquidity, so that a daily liquidity APY is also maintained. So it is going to be divided in multiple areas. So your asset is going to be safer always. I mean, that is going to be divided in multiple parameters. So that is something that
Okay.
automated
So this
restaking is something they're working. Yes, yes.
Okay. So my next question was about how are you keeping the ensuring the safety and robustness of the platform? Can you tell us a
Yeah.
little about that?
Yeah. So as I said, there are multiple ways we are ensuring. So insurance is something that we are actually looking forward to have on our platform as well. So
Okay.
insurance, and that is one of the reasons why we have so many, why we are, going the stable currency route. As I said, I'm going to introduce multiple stable currencies in multiple countries and multiple regulations. So the reason is, when there is a market volatility, as for example, just day before yesterday, we saw how badly, the Bitcoin performed. Okay, but I mean it's a temporary thing. All of us understands, but there's always a certain, let's say, fear in the market of these things going on. So ultimately, what we do is we initially convert all your tokens into stable currencies. Then and there itself, because we have to make sure that whatever asset value that, let's say, you're coming with $100,000 worth of any token, we want to make sure that your $100,000 of the asset value is maintained. In fact, it is being earning something or the other on that. So that is something that we are ensuring, and we're keeping everything on chain, which means you can also have a look, where it is earning, how much it is earning, and you can be, secure about it, because everything that is happening where all the informations are being on chain and they are being logged, or they are being, worked in some way or the other by some protocols. So that is where we maintain. So if I have to talk about a very basic security, as you said, how are we ensuring or how are we securitized? So if I only have to talk about security, not about the insurance, the security is maintained in the very fundamental way, that we are making sure that we are going to the best particular protocols like Ethereum itself or the Solana itself or the BTC itself to maintain the security. We are taking everything on chain so that everything is secure in nature. Now, about insurance, there are multiple ways. Your staking is one of the ways. Converting them into stables and rotating in the market is another way. It is also acting as a hedge against inflations when the markets are down or very volatile or anything like that. So these things are very much in place. If I have to explain, it'll take kind of almost half of our both of our day and time. But the white paper is going to be announced very soon within a week. So I would recommend you guys to read a bit more about it there.
All right. Okay. I will be sure to keep on a lookout for the white paper.
Yes,
You've mentioned many
yes,
times
yes,
that you're introducing stable currencies for five nations. Can you tell us a little about how you're
yes.
going about doing it? What is the regulatory
Yeah.
compliance that you're looking at? Is there any that you're looking at currently, or is it in a gray area?
Well, we do not love to work in a very gray area, to be frank. We love to work on everything on a very transparent basis. So I wouldn't name any country as such. The countries that I've already named, I'm not going to name the working. I just have a lot of information I'll explain you the basics behind, areas where, the cryptocurrency is not regulated, and areas where the currencies are regulated, cryptocurrencies are regulated. So in let's say in country A, the cryptocurrency is regulated. What we are going to do is we're going to back these stable currencies by the fiat currency of that particular country itself. Okay, and maintain 1:1 ratio. Again, how are we maintaining it? It's a bit detailed view, but I'm just giving you the surface level knowledge of what we are going to do in countries where cryptocurrencies are regulated. In countries where the cryptocurrencies aren't regulated, we are basically going to back it by the other very regulated stable currencies. Okay, so in that case, the things are going to be crypto to crypto, but the ratio is always going to be 1:1. Like, for example, in country B, where the fiat, whatever fiat is, the fiat is some sort of dollar. Okay, so $1 of that fiat is always going to be equivalent to $1 of the stable currency of that company, of that country that we are going to introduce. So 1:1 ratio is going to be maintained in both the cases, but the way we are backing them is going to be different in countries where it is regulated, countries where it isn't regulated. So there's going to be no gray area about anything. The only thing is, people will have to do their due diligence before, very much investing into it. But at the very same time, 1:1 ratio will always be maintained. They are also automated, and also they'll be audited in case of, regulated areas. And in case of non-regulated areas, an audit will be sent every quarter to the users for them to understand how much backing is there and how much is in the market, how much is supposed to be burnt and how much is supposed to be minted extra. So that is we have taken care of, because that is what maintains the 1:1 ratio in both the cases.
Right. So do you guys have like because this is tokenizing of real world asset in a way,
Yes,
you
yes,
know?
kind of, yeah.
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 So do you have, you're saying that, insurance is something that you're potentially looking at, but do you also have like
Yes.
a custodian for these? How are you ensuring the security of
Hmm.
the one is making sure that it's, always one, there is 1:1 backing?
Yes. So in case of, regulated countries, countries where the cryptocurrency is regulated, definitely the insurance is fiat itself. The fiat itself, the amount of fiat we have, as I said, there's going to be audit every quarterly. There's going to be a quarterly audit of how much we are holding and how much is being circulated in the market, so that
Who's
we
going to
will
be,
understand that
doing
how
the
much we
audit,
have to.
perhaps? Are you like involving anybody as a third party for the auditing and the custodianship?
Yes, yes, that has to be done. Those third parties have to be both from on-chain and off-chain parties. Off-chain, when I say off-chain, auditors are, your government auditors, or auditors certified by the government itself, because if we're coming under their regulation, we'll have to do that. And also by on-chain regulators, as on-chain auditors as well. The companies that are behind, auditing the tokens, the tokenomics and things like that. So both the audits will be sent simultaneously to the public, and it will be made public every quarterly, for not only for them but also for us to understand how much, stable currencies has been minted, how much needs to be bought back and burnt, or how much has to be minted if there's, let's say, surplus, backing, but very limited things that are going on, very less circulation. So in both the cases, audit on-chain and off-chain are going to be there published, which will give us idea, and also the general public the idea of how much burning or minting is, supposed to be done on a very regular basis. So that, a regular burning and minting allows us to maintain the 1:1 ratio. And the both the audit plus the backing itself is the insurance and security of this whole ecosystem, stable currency ecosystem.
All right. So auditors, can you name your auditors or your
Right
custodian?
now, right now I cannot. Like, I'll have to publish it, like, publicly. I will be
Right.
publishing it publicly. Yes.
Right. It'll be a part of your white paper.
Yes, yes. Not just white paper. I mean, part of my announcement, part of my, whenever we take it, we'll have to take it on all social medias, so that,
Right.
things have to be public in nature, because that what creates, transparency in the ecosystem. So we'll have to do it in a later
Right.
part of our journey.
Hmm. So that makes sense. That makes sense. So interoperability is something is like a major focus for you, right? That is how your vision
Yes,
kind
yes,
of
yes.
began as well. And what
100%.
are the kind
Yes.
of challenges that you see on a macro level in Web3 vis-a-vis interoperability? Because like you rightly pointed that, right now, uh, even now, it is still a challenge, and there is no particular product
Mhm.
or platform that has found a
Mhm.
very good product market fit where,
Right.
you are
Right.
basically that problem doesn't exist. Like, it becomes a thing of the past. That has not happened. And with
Right.
new chains coming up left, right,
Right.
center, even in this
Mhm.
particular phase of the market, it remains a challenge. So,
Mhm.
what is your view
Right.
on the kind of challenges that are there vis-a-vis interoperability in Web3 currently?
So, I mean, let me start with a very small trivia, if I have to be honest. Okay, in if you take the research, like I cannot go that deep again, sorry, but in case someday or the other, I'll post it on my Twitter on my LinkedIn as well. So with the name of those protocols that have failed in past. So let's take the year 2022 itself. Just after just before the bear market began, and just before the bull market ended. So all the hacks that we talk about, all the hacks in the year 2022 itself, 95% of those hacks took place on all the bridging solution. Okay, now what exactly is a bridging solution? Now, a bridging solution is essentially a bridge that is supposed to talk or act as a bridge between two different protocols. And the very shocking fact is it's not just about two different protocols built on two different virtual machines altogether. It's also about, two different sets of protocols built on same virtual machine. Let's take L1 and L2, any famous L1 and its L2. For them to interact as well, sometimes they end up using bridging to swap or to transfer the tokens amongst themselves as well. So, I mean, when I say this, why this is a big problem, because this is when a person, when you as a user want to convert your tokens from one protocol to another protocol, you either have to depend on centralized exchanges, you go to centralized exchange, or you have to depend on this bridging solution. But when you use the bridging solution, you know how difficult it is to use a bridging solution. Point number one. Point number two, let's say you come up with $100 worth of token A, and you want to convert it into token B. By the time you go to that bridging solution, wrap your tokens, then pass it through that bridge, that unwrap and burn that token in that particular protocol, by that time 10 to 30% in many cases of the tokens overall asset value has been reduced. So on an average, you're going to receive anything between 90 to $80 of the $100 that you essentially had. So first of all, there is no security, and even after security, your asset values are declining. So this is thing that I personally believe has forced the whole ecosystem to go on a very central exchange or hybrid exchanges or CDFI solutions, where we do not exactly worry about the custody. We mostly worry about how much gas fees or how much asset value is going to be retained after the use of it. That is one of the biggest problem that is happening right now, like as we speak, and has been happening since some years, like 2 3 years down the line, it has been happening. Now let's talk about a bit about the present and the future. So presently, as you can see, there are like at least on top of my mind 30 layer twos, if not less. There are minimum 30 layer twos that are very popular, that have their own set of people that are solving their own set of problems, and their interaction with L1 is very limited. Okay, and there are also fights amongst various L2s, and I'm talking about L2s only built on Ethereum virtual machine. I'm not at all talking about L2s that are built on any other virtual machine, because I haven't seen any L2 built on any other virtual machine as of now. If there is, then I think I may have to study it, but I can see it right now in EVM itself. So the consolidation cannot happen unless and until you have a common source of truth. Okay, so that is also the biggest problem. The source of truth is now kind of divided, or is different for different layer, and is different for some different layer, whether it is L1 or L2 or something like that. That should never have happened in the Web3 ecosystem at all. The source of truth. Now let me give you a very layman's example when I'm talking about why interoperability is important, like very very important. Let's say tomorrow your government gives out, let's say, your rental agreement or the home ownership agreement in NFT, RWA NFT, let's call it. Okay. So as per that NFT, you become the owner of that house. Okay. And that NFT is built using one particular, token architecture of one particular protocol. Now, what if somebody else builds, same NFT or RWA on some different protocol? Then there are two different sources of truth. Now you again have to depend on the government, because that NFT was issued by government. That's why you're considering it like to be the honest NFT. And the NFT that is being considered by some random person on some random chain, you're not considering it. Okay, this means again you're depending on the government. Whereas the source would have been the government, and you both should have verified it from one single source of truth. So again, there could be multiple sources of truth, and there's no way that they're interacting with each other. Or you'll have to keep, implementing the same, NFT, RW, and all the protocols that are ever built and are ever going to be built. That's a very tiresome process, and that's a very, not a very good product process, I would say. So that is one of
Hmm.
the reasons why interoperability is important. You
Yeah.
need to have one single source of truth.
That is true. Like interoperability becomes very important, especially in this multi-chain burst that we are in currently, and for ease of use as
Right.
well for the user, right? Because the user cannot be expected to
Yes, yes,
know the
100%.
ins
It's
and
only
outs.
for the welfare of user.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Right,
So
100%.
again,
I mean, come on,
yeah,
my dad is not going to understand it. He still does not understand
exactly.
anything.
Yeah, no, like it's if you gonna be onboarding like the next million users on Web3, then you can't expect to you can't expect the user to be educated enough to about this particular matter to know the ins and outs. You have
Yes,
to
yes,
create a
yes.
product that actually, is solving a problem for them and they're gonna stick to it. This is something that has been a pretty much a repeated narrative in all of these podcast
Mm.
episodes that I've done so far. Everybody seems to think the same thing, that it is very important to talk about, the technology, but expecting the potential user to be completely educated about it and to learn about it is a perhaps a wrong
Right,
expectation to have.
right,
You
right,
need to build a product that is easy and that is convenient, that is solving a problem,
right, right.
which without really requiring definitely the
100%.
need for the user to understand the ins and outs. So I think I concur with you there, and obviously interoperability is a very
100%.
pertinent challenge. Now, I again want to touch
Right,
upon the stablecoin proposition that you have. If you could like tell us a
right,
little about how it benefits users in these particular geographies. You mentioned Oman, Philippines, Nigeria,
right.
India, and Vietnam.
Mhm, mhm.
What is the advantage that it gives the users?
So let me put it this way. Okay, I'll give you three different narratives of the three different countries altogether. Okay.
Hmm.
Now, now let's talk about India, Oman, and Nigeria. Okay, three different countries, three different geographies, and three completely different economies. Okay, whereas Oman is a very developed country, a very developed economy, has no challenges like India or Nigeria. India is a developing country, has a very different set of people, has a very price or let's say value centric people, and they have a different set of thinking when it comes to economics. Now let's talk about Nigeria. Very upgrowing, very strong, I would say, but still not at par with multiple economies of many countries. Okay. Now
Hmm.
all three of them actually view this stable currency from their own set of perspective. If I have to give you one example, let's talk about Oman. So Oman, what they think that the stable currency becomes a base layer for their all DeFi or fintech movement that they will have in the future in their country. So
Hmm.
again, that works as a Thalesio model where they can have the stable currency, and it can be used by multiple fintech companies, payment gateways, multiple institutions in order to have this conversation, interaction. Because let's be very frank, no? Every country has UPI set of model. Even if they, if even if they, let's say implement what UPI has done in India, there's still going to be challenges. Let's say, for
Hmm.
example, let's take Germany. If India implements UPI in Germany, Germany is a very cash-centric country. They seldom use even debit or credit cards, to be frank. They use it very, very less for a very developed economy. So that's what. So this is where stable currencies come into play. Onboarding, offboarding can only be done once. You just have to worry about onboarding and offboarding of any user, any institution, or the country itself just once. Once you are onboarded, you can actually seamlessly throughout your ecosystem wherever your token is accepted. You can go there, interact with that particular protocol, DeFi, in fact, fintech if they accept it. you can go everywhere, and at the end of the day, when you want to realize it in your bank account, you can realize by one